What is the most obvious lie you have ever been told? When a coworker told my own story back to me as his own. Twice. I had a friend do this once. He was hanging out with a large group of my friends that he hardly knew, and my best friend, still my best friend too, love that fucker, just went, "Wow, it's so crazy you had Veer Bedham," the exact same childhood story that Jason has told us all before, right down to the small town in Kansas where it happened, and the color drained straight out of his face. Didn't say a word to me for like 3 days. Dude turned out to be a pathological liar on many levels. Very strange to think how I spent 4 years of high school with someone lying straight to my face constantly and didn't realize it until that moment. Wow, that's crazy. Reminds me of the time I had a friend do this once. He was hanging out with a large group of my friends that he hardly knew, and my best friend, still my best friend too, love that fucker, just went, "Wow, it's so crazy you had Veer Bedham," the exact same childhood story that Jason has told us all before, right down to the small town in Kansas where it happened, and the color drained straight out of his face. Didn't say a word to me for like 3 days. Dude turned out to be a pathological liar on many levels. Very strange to think how I spent 4 years of high school with someone lying straight to my face constantly and didn't realize it until that moment. I speak French, though I'm losing it from lack of use. But one of my college guy friends started dating a girl from France. He was all excited because she could talk to me in her native language and I could help translate. So he brought her to a party at my sorority house and introduced us. I greeted her in French with a very simple, "Bonjour, bienvenue, comment va," which is just "Hi, welcome, how are you?" Blank stare and red face in response. She then said, in what I thought was a kind of strange accent, that she's sorry, she didn't understand me. I looked at the guy and said, "I thought you told me she was French." Because maybe she was a different nationality and he was confused. He looked at her and she just turned and left. He followed, then returned a bit later and said he had caught up to her, and she started screaming at him in perfect Midwestern accented English that he was a jerk for setting her up to look like a fool. He had genuinely been excited that he could introduce her to someone she could talk to, so he was blown away by her accusations and then angry that she lied. She apparently felt faking an accent would make her more appealing or something. I would see her around on campus after that, but she avoided me like the plague. TBH, I felt bad for her, but if you're going to fake it, at least pick a country with a language you can speak. Too bad she avoided you afterwards. Would have been the cherry on top if you always greeted her with "Bonjour," and a shit-eating grin if you had met occasionally. My friend told me that getting a Peloton changed her life. I looked up her workout stats and she had used it 4 times in 5 months of owning it. Her husband fared a little better with using it 9 times. Don't know why this annoyed me so much. Being able to tell people she owns a Peloton changed her life, using it would be overkill. Priceless. Real talk, my roommate got the Peloton right at the start of the pandemic. He went from 370 pounds to 190 in about 8 months. He combined Peloton rides with intermittent fasting. I watched him sweat the pounds away. Also, the instructor has nice boobies. In 5th grade, a friend of ours used to try to convince us he used to hang out with the band Sublime. Among other stuff, he said that he was the person featured on the cover of their self-titled album and he used to do drugs with them and even tried heroin once. We were fucking 11 years old and he claimed this all happened 2 years before he even moved to our school. So yeah, a fucking 9-year-old did all this wild shit. We constantly called bullshit, but he would just continue to lie and make up more stuff. We stopped hanging out with him because he was so full of shit. When I was 15, I had a friend that tried to tell me the exact same story. What if Sublime was just hanging out with children? What if it's the same friend? Or not playing favorites? Was told I needed to buy my own car as a teen and I did. Following year my baby bro was given a free car. He's 15 most younger, is now 56 still living at home. My sister had her car and college pretty much paid for. I was basically told to kick rocks. Yeah, I feel your pain. College was same scenario with me too. Fortunately it made me more independent and my bro has never grown up. He will inherit their house's land. Oh, but I'm told I'll get a car. Think I got the better deal lol. This reminds me of the time I asked my parents for a drum kit. I'd been asking for a couple of Christmases and had been having lessons for a few months. Because I hadn't been successful for almost 2 years I just gave up. Stopped asking for a kit, stopped having lessons, which turned out to be a blessing in the end, and just forgot all about it. Then, my brother started a band. He's a very talented metal vocalist. He asked for a kit and got one for Christmas that year. I was devastated with my parents, but I was happy for my brother. He doesn't even play the drums, even now, but it was cool for him to have what he asked for. Edit. Holy snap, I wasn't expecting this much attention on this comment. I'm going to read every comment, but it is getting late, so I'm sorry if I don't get back to you all. Not on the grand scale of a drum set, but similar thing happened with my sister and I. From the age of like 5 until 12, every year, I asked for a baby born doll for Christmas and never got one. After 12 I gave up because I was getting too old, but that Christmas my little sister asked for one. She got it. I didn't even want it anymore, but was very hurt. I asked all of those years and she only asked once. Ah, the life of the unloved child. I know those feels so very well. Took my parents 25 years, and my sister cutting them off for them to remember they had a son. And then I nearly died, so I was an inconvenience again. That's rough, man. I'm sorry. Hope you're doing better now. I'm doing pretty great, actually. Haven't spoken to them in a few years now, and they don't even know where I am. Just cut that whole toxic nonsense out of my life, and my life has honestly never been better. Hey, good for you. I'm glad you're doing well. Lol. My older brother used to get presents on my birthday. I specifically had asked for an action figure from the cartoon, Street Sharks, for a long time. I even showed my mother the exact toy when we were out shopping. Birthday arrives, and I got clothes and new shoes while my brother got the action figure I asked for. My grandma was so pissed off when she found out, so she took me to Toys R Us to pick out toys. When I was 23, my family asked what I wanted to do for my birthday. I said I just wanted a steak dinner. We had spaghetti and vegetarian meatballs because that's what my brother wanted. When the Xbox 360 came out, I was in high school. I shared a room with my brother, but I worked and he didn't. I bought a new TV and an Xbox with one of my first checks. I came home one evening after work and was so excited to play Borderlands. I got to my room and the Xbox was gone. My brother took it to his friend's house, and I was told by my dad to deal with it. So I decided to take a walk and smoke a little bit of weed. I opened my stash jar, and all my weed and over $200 was gone. Obviously I couldn't confront my dad about the weed, but when I told him my money was missing, he blamed it on me losing it. That night when my brother came home, he had a brand new jacket and matching shoes, and was carrying leftovers from a restaurant. I lost it and beat the hell out of him, and my dad called the police to have me arrested. Edit. Thank you all for the well wishes. My brother committed suicide 6 years ago, and it drastically changed my dad's attitude. I'm still no contact with my mother, and that'll never change. Grandparents passed a few years ago, and that was the last time I saw my mom's side of the family. After a night in juvenile hall, I was released back to my dad, and had 2 years of probation. The Xbox was there when I returned home, but never saw the $200 or my weed again. I got a safe after that. I'm in a good place now. I have my son that I adore and spend all my free time making sure he's as happy as can be, because I'll never be the parent that I had growing up. Your parents and brother are cunts. Any lieutenant saying that the platoon can go home early on a Friday if you work hard right now. Just about anything a lieutenant says should be run by the captain first. Unless the lieutenant says, I don't know, in which case he's probably right and is probably prior enlisted as well. In high school a buddy told me that he didn't steal our other buddy's watch. He was wearing the watch when I asked him about it. Long-term borrowing, he'll give it back, some say, I'm sure. Some might say so, but I'm not one of them.